Welcome back to episode 3 of Show Us Your Rolex. This is where I post your submissions and I give a friendly critique of one or two of your Rolex. And it gives me a chance to talk about someone else's watch instead of my own. I got some really interesting submissions again for this episode, but I want to start out with WebEasy with his latest acquisition, this nice looking black dial Explorer 2. And he writes, I recently added this Rolex Explorer 2 to the collection. It happened in the past month when I was celebrating my birthday in Germany. The local AD, whom I didn't have a purchase history, had called and left me a voice message about the watch, being ready to pick up if I'm still interested. I wasn't aware of the voicemail because I didn't have access to it. After a couple days, the AD followed up with an email saying he left a voicemail and if I'm still interested, I can let him know. After I saw the email, I called the AD from Berlin and made the purchase over the phone and collected the watch when I came back to the US. When I first wore the Explorer 2, I noticed how heavy and large it was. I thought I may not like it. There was some adaptation period for me. It is large and sits low compared to the Submariner, which makes it more comfortable. The dial is a bit busy compared to the Explorer 1 and Submariner No Date. I've been wearing it nonstop since the purchase about a month ago and in the getting to like it phase. In my opinion, I think that was exactly the right choice to pick up this Explorer 2. It's a bold dial, but it's not busy, and it is large on the wrist, but it has just the right amount of weight. And I like how it fits in with the rest of your collection. He has the Submariner No Date, purchased from the AD in 2021, the Explorer 36, purchased from the AD in 2022, and now this one from the AD in 2023. They're all three black dial Rolex Steel Sports, but they're just different enough from each other. Different case sizes, different dials, and different bezels. But they match each other too and make a great set. A few years ago, I tried out the 5-digit Polar Explorer 2, but the bracelet was stretched and it wasn't a nice feeling putting it on and off the wrist. And I thought the dial was a little bit too plain, so I ended up selling that one. And I also tried out the black dial 5-digit Explorer 2, and I really liked that watch. It had a real utility feel to it, but I felt like it was just too similar to my GMT pre-ceramic. The problem with the 5-digit sports watches was that the GMT Master 2 and the Explorer 2 were just too similar looking. Basically had the same case and the same bracelet and just a different bezel. But now I think Rolex has done a great job in differentiating these two lines, and they're now matured into two separate lines. There's two separate case sizes, with the Explorer 2 at 42 and the GMT Master 2 still at 40. The new dial design of the Explorer 2 makes it look different than the GMT Master 2, and there's polished center links on the GMT Master 2. So now the GMT Master 2 is more of a dress sports watch, and the Explorer 2 is still a utility explorer's watch. Whether to get the polar dial or the black dial, I think either one of these looks really great. And next up is Aaron P. And I guess this is a collection review instead of one or two specific watches. But until I saw this picture, I didn't realize exactly how similar my collection is to yours. I have some of the exact same watches as you and different variations of some other ones. You can't go wrong with the Submariner. That's the basic and a classic in the Rolex collection. And you've got a good variety of dial colors with the Z Blue and the Polar Explorer and that stunning blue dial of the Sky Dweller. There's an even split between the Jubilee bracelets and the Oyster bracelets, and a super complication on the Sky Dweller. So what's missing here? I don't think you need a Yachtmaster, and I don't think you need an Air King, but you are missing a Daytona, and that would round things out. And if you're looking for another Rolex, you might consider a full gold Rolex, either in yellow gold or white gold. That extra weight of full gold is a really nice feeling on the wrist. Next up is Buzz with another very recent pickup from the AD, the Blue Dial Datejust 41 with the Jubilee and the fluted bezel. This was a great pickup. These are very hard to get and in high demand, and I can understand why. It's a classic looking piece and a very stunning blue color on the dial. He already has a two-tone Datejust 41 and a Sky Dweller in full yellow gold, and this is a great addition to the collection. Great pictures, by the way, and thanks for submitting. Next up is Watch Collector with a great wrist shot of the Rolex Air King, and he also has the Explorer. He wrote that he purchased the Explorer as my first Rolex, felt like it's a do-it-all watch, and I love the modern quality. The luxury of the dial indices is something I didn't pick up. Explorer was honestly just bought because it was in stock, and I love the case. The dial is super functional and legible, but still on the fence if it's a keeper. So in my opinion, I would keep both of these watches. I think the size of the Air King looks really good on your wrist, and they made a great improvement in the case design with the latest version, flattening out the sides of the case and adding crown guards. And I think the case is also thinner. People keep saying that the Air King and Explorer are easy to get from the AD, but that just hasn't been my personal experience. I had to wait almost 2 years to get my Explorer, and I was never offered an Air King. I did mention interest during just one visit and I never followed up, but if I was offered the Air King, I think I would probably get it. And lastly, thanks to John for some great images of his Z Blue Milgauss.